So we're on this theme. The theme is bearing fruit. And we talked last week, fruit is what you do with your life that lasts forever. It's what you do with your life that lasts forever. In 1 Corinthians chapter 3, I'm going to quote some verses that are not in your notes, but you hear them from me a lot. 1 Corinthians chapter 3 says that at the end of our life, when we stand before Jesus, our works, our life, everything we've done is going to be tested by fire. It's sort of like everything's going to be thrown in this big bonfire, and certain things will get burned up and certain things won't get burned up. And so the fruit is what doesn't get burned up in the fire at the end of your life, that you take with you when you go into heaven. And it also says that some people, everything that they've done with their entire life is all burned up. But they're saved because you're not saved by works, but when they step into heaven, they're going to smell like smoke because they have nothing to bring with them when they step into glory to show Jesus what they've done with their life. And so fruit is what lasts through the fire. It is eternal. And so that's what we want to do. Our theme passage is John chapter 15, where Jesus made this statement, "My Father is glorified by this, that you bear much fruit, and so prove to be my disciples." And so it's no accident. Some people bear a lot of fruit, some people bear none, and the question is why? That's what we're talking about in this series. Why? What's it take to bear fruit? Things that we can choose to do, ways we can live our life so that we bear much fruit. And so all these lessons are online. If you haven't been here for the series from the beginning, you can go back and listen to those online if you like. And so this is lesson 7. 2 Timothy 2:4, no soldier in active service entangles himself in the affairs of everyday life. No soldier in active service entangles himself in the affairs of everyday life. There's some verses in the Bible that I've read over and over and over. I've memorized them, and I puzzle over them, and I think about them, and I say, Lord, would you just give me a hint? How am I doing on this one? It's just terribly convicting, and I don't know the answer to how I'm doing. No soldier in active service entangles himself in the affairs of everyday life. So the question is, am I? Are you? And so here's a basic black and white statement. The more entangled you are in the affairs of everyday life, the less fruit you will bear. The more entangled you are in the affairs of everyday life, the less fruit you will bear. That's a law of life. That's the way it is. And so if we are entangled, we have to become unentangled if we want to bear fruit for God. Hebrews 12:1, therefore, since we have so great a cloud of witnesses surrounding us, let us lay aside every encumbrance, weight. Not necessarily a bad thing. It's just stuff. So I've done a lot of bicycle trips. Bicycled across the United States 3 times, coast to coast, up to Fairbanks, Alaska a couple of times, Canada to Mexico, along the Pacific coast once, down to the Grand Canyon, over to Yellowstone and back home once. And one of the things that we do is we have these bags on the front of the bikes and on the back of the bikes, and then we put stuff on the back of the bike over the pads. And so the goal is not to have any more than 70 pounds on the bicycle in the way of weight. That includes your tent, your stove, your food, your clothes, whatever you need for the trip. And so when you get it all packed and you weigh it and it weighs 90 pounds, oh, can't do that. I got to become unencumbered. I've got to get rid of some stuff in my life because that weight will hinder me. I've also hiked on the Pacific Crest Trail, not recently, but back in the days when I did. We had a goal of not having more than 50 pounds in our pack, and so we'd get everything we needed, absolutely had to have, and we'd weigh it, and it weighed 95 pounds. 95 pounds? You got to be kidding me. I can't hike with 95 pounds. Okay, we're going to chuck this. What are we going to get rid of? And so let us lay aside every encumbrance. And the sin which so easily entangles us, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. If you're going to run with endurance your life, bear fruit for God, you have to get rid of stuff and unentangle your life. Number one, most Christians accomplish very little with their life and bear little fruit for God because they have little time available. Now, that's a basic fact. I get together with pastors all the time. We talk about our churches, what's good, what's bad. And one of the facts is that there are a lot of people in our church that are not plugged into any kind of ministry in the church. They show up on Sunday or Saturday night or Wednesday night, and that's pretty much it. And the question is why? Well, because they don't have any time. So there's a rule in fishing. Most of you know I'm the world's greatest fisherman. And there's certain kind of rules that you follow in fishing. One of the rules I heard back when I was just a kid, and I had an uncle, his name was Uncle Charlie. Uncle Charlie owned every lure that has ever been created by man. And he had them in his tackle box. It was a big tackle box. And so, I mean, if he saw it for sale, he bought it. It was in his tackle box. And so my dad and him would go fishing, and my dad would catch a lot of fish, and Uncle Charlie would catch none, even though he had all these different lures. And Dad would say, Uncle Charlie doesn't catch fish because he doesn't ever have his line in the water. He's always tying on a new lure. And so Dad had this rule. The longer your line is in the water, the more fish you catch. The less your line is in the water, the less fish you catch. So, bear fruit. Basic law of bearing fruit. The more you serve, the more fruit you will bear. The more you're plugged in, the more fruit you'll bear. The more involved you are in ministry, the more fruit you'll bear. It's a pretty simple rule, everything else being equal. Number two, when I asked different people if they'd be interested in serving in a particular area in the church, the number one excuse I get is, I don't have enough time. Sorry, Pastor, ask me next year. Right now, I just don't have enough time. Why? Well, you know the answer to that. It's because of all the stuff. All the stuff in our life uses up all our time. We have no time left to do anything for Jesus. So there's two reasons, and I want to keep coming back to this one. I haven't for a couple of weeks. Two reasons why you want to bear fruit. Number one reason is because God put that in you, that desire. It is God who wills and works in you. He puts in us this desire, this hunger, this passion. We want to look behind us and see a big wake, to see that our life has made a difference. Lots of things have happened because we've lived our life. Now, one of the things the Bible talks about is those who are hot and those who are lukewarm and those who are cold. And so God gives us this fire and it goes out. What puts it out? Stuff. You can only have passion for so much, and then your passion gets watered down and goes out. So the first reason you want to bear fruit is because you want to bear fruit. Because God put that desire in you, but that desire can go away and you can become lukewarm and cold. Second reason is because when you get to the end of your life, you're going to stand before Jesus Christ and give an account of your life, and he's going to reward you according to what you've done with your life. Those rewards are not your salvation, but they are rewards from Jesus. I don't know exactly what they are, but they're going to be cool and they're going to be great. And one of them is going to be a sense of glory that he gives us for what we've done for him. And so we will be rewarded for what we've done. Number three, these well-intentioned believers have filled their lives with a whole host of activities, most of which will not show up at the judgment seat of Christ. So have no time left for doing things that would receive rewards. I often, and as you do, for some reason, drink a cup of coffee too late or something. I go to bed and I don't fall asleep. And some people count sheep. I don't know what other people count. I think about the judgment seat of Christ. I lay there I don't sleep on my back, but when I can't sleep, I lay on my back and I think, and I visualize and I imagine the judgment seat of Christ. There's Jesus, here's me. What it's going to be like, what it's going to feel like, what it's going to sound like. And I imagine it in two ways. One is when I have done a ton of stuff for him, and his response to me for that. And when I've done nothing, it's all gotten burned up, and his response to me for that. I think about it. I imagine that. I sort of role play myself in it. And it's amazing how when I start thinking about that, I fall right to sleep. I think it's too convicting for my brain to stay awake. Number 4, the world around us is a constant draw on our interest because it is so much a part of our lives. The world is everywhere all of the time. We have this device at our house, and it's got wheels on it, and it's got a bar on it, and it's got you push it like a lawnmower, but it's just a little bit above the ground, and it's a magnet. And so we just tore down my old shop, and we're building a house and a new shop there for our daughter Sarah and Mike and their kids. And whenever you tear down an old shop, one of the things that happens, you got boards laying everywhere, and we cut them up and burn them, and we haul them off, and there's nails everywhere. You know what nails do to tires? You get flats. And then your wife calls you when she's in Walmart and says, "Hey, I have a flat tire." So we push this little gadget around. It's a magnet all over the place, and picks up the nails out of the dirt so we don't get flat tires. The world is a super powerful magnet. I mean, it just sucks you right to it. Advertisements, they're everywhere all the time. We live in the middle of it. 1 John 2:15, do not love the world, the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, the boastful pride of life is not from the Father, but from the world. The world is passing away, also its lusts, but the one who does the will of God lives forever. Romans 12:2, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind so that you may prove what the will of God is, that which is good and acceptable and perfect. Matthew 13:22, and the one on whom seed was sown among the thorns, this is the man who hears the word, and the worry of the world, the deceitfulness of wealth, choke the word, and it becomes unfruitful. Number 5, those who really want to bear much fruit must be constantly simplifying their lifestyle. Simplifying their lifestyle. That's a kind of a cool word, isn't it? We all kind of like the idea of simplifying our lifestyle. It just gets complicated. It gets full. It gets busy. There's so much to do, so many places to go. We own so much. We just want to simplify our lifestyle. We have a ritual in our family. I don't know when it started. Patty could probably give you the exact date, but we rent a 10-yard dumpster in the spring, around April, May, put it in our front yard, and then we fill it up. And when we fill it up, it's like, we filled it up last year. And we filled it up the year before. And we filled it up the year before. How did that happen? All this stuff we have has babies. It's kind of like rabbits. Every year we fill up that 10-yard dumpster. I think maybe next time we should get a 20-yard dumpster, see if we can shrink it a little bit more. So simplify. That simply means have a yard sale. Get a dumpster. Get rid of stuff. Simplify your life. Number 6, getting rid of the stuff in our lives that does not really matter ought to be done with the same zeal that we would have about getting rid of cancer. So I've had 2 cancer growths cut off of me. One was on my face, the other one was on my arm. And neither time did the doctor say, by the way, you can keep those if you like. I don't know why they didn't ask me. I mean, they were mine. Why'd they take it off without asking me? If they had said, you can keep those if you like, what would I have said? No, thank you. Go ahead, cut them off. Because we know cancer grows. And as it grows, it becomes increasingly more dangerous, more deadly, and pretty soon there comes a point at which we don't live because of that cancer. The very word kind of makes us nervous. We want to get rid of that cancer and stuff. Number 7, cancer kills our physical body. Stuff kills our spiritual zeal. Kills our spiritual zeal. How much stuff do you need? Really? If you go to Africa and you see how much stuff they have, it's not much. Number 8, the early church fathers considered simplifying our lifestyle a basic discipline of the Christian life, as important as spending time reading the Bible. It was considered a basic discipline of the Christian life, simplifying your life. And they had several other disciplines that were corollaries to that. One was giving, regularly giving your money to the poor or to people who had need or to missions or whatever it was. Give what you have, give it away, and then you have less. Another one was fasting, just to remind you that you're regularly eating, but you can take a break from that and not eat as much. Solitude was another thing that the early church fathers did to kind of learn how to simplify their life. And in the times of solitude, their goal was to focus on God only and to learn contentment. To learn contentment. In other words, I'm happy. I don't need more. I don't need more. Number 9, a fundamental tool of the devil and his demons in our lives is to get us to seek pleasure and power from the world and the things in the world. And so they have strategies. Paul said we're not ignorant of his schemes. His scheme from the very beginning is to get us so that we're not serving God. If we become a believer in Jesus, headed to heaven, he's lost us. We're not in his kingdom anymore, his kingdom of darkness. But he can work in us so that we don't take others with us. And so he knows that the way to do that is to get us so focused on stuff that we don't have really much energy left for God to serve him. Matthew 4:8, this is the devil tempting Jesus. The devil took him, Jesus, to a very high mountain, showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their glory, and he said to him, all these things I will give to you if you fall down and worship me. And so what he did with Jesus, he does with us. Number 10, one of the 10 commandments was do not covet. That commandment is repeated numerous times in the New Testament because it is a big problem with our flesh. I don't know how many of you read my blog. I write a blog 4 or 5 times a week. If you don't, DEEFDUKE.me, M-E, and it'll take you right there, and you can read it. It's 300 to 500 words. It'll bless your heart, really. That advertisement is free. So I just recently did a blog about the commandment, the 10th commandment of not coveting, and an experience I had when I was a little kid with my pastor. When I said to him, Pastor, are there only 10 commandments? My mom and dad have way more than that. And he said, well, God just put the big ones, the important ones, in that list of 10. And then I said to him, it doesn't seem like coveting is that big of a sin. Why is it in the 10? And then he tried to explain to me exactly what that meant to covet. And it's repeated. Anything from the 10 commandments repeated in the New Testament, especially when it's repeated numerous times, is a big deal with God because it creates problems in our life. Luke 12:15, then he said to them, Jesus, beware. That's a pretty serious beginning. Beware and be on your guard against every form of greed. For not even when one has an abundance does his life consist of its possessions. Beware. Be on your guard against every form of greed. Ephesians 5:3, immorality or any impurity or greed. I thought it was interesting. Immorality, we understand that. Or impurity, we know that. Or greed. It's like Paul mentions 3 biggies here. I get the first 2, but greed must not even be named among you, as is proper among saints. There must be no filthiness, silly talk, or coarse jesting, which are not fitting, but rather giving of thanks. For this you know with certainty that no immoral or impure person or covetous man who is an idolater. So how did covetousness get in there with immorality and impurity? It's a bad one. Covetous man who is an idolater has an inheritance in the kingdom of Christ and God. Let no one deceive you with empty words. Because of these things, the wrath of God comes upon the sons of disobedience. Number 11, recreational activities and hobbies are indispensable as tools to keep our emotional gas tank full, but it's easy to get out of balance. So I recently did a little seminar for pastors on how to endure, how to last to 77, or my goal is to get to 88 pastoring, but how to last. A lot of pastors don't last, and I said the key is fish. Pastors who fish last. And the reason is because pastoring is an emotional drain. When you preach, when you counsel, when you get involved with people and their struggles and things they're going through, it drains you emotionally, and it'll just wear you out. You run out of gas, but you got to fill it up. And so over the years, I've filled up my gas tank by hunting and fishing and restoring old cars and stuff like that. But it is so easy to take a really good, healthy thing and become overbalanced so that it becomes a bad thing. I mean, it can happen so easy. Recreational activities. I was on this boat a couple of weeks ago, 10 days fishing on it. And so if you had a picture of the boat, there were, 200 fishing rods. There's 20 fishermen. And you think, why do those guys all need all those fishing rods? Well, because, you might need it for this fish or that fish. And then there's these big reels, saltwater reels on them. They're all made out of titanium and stainless steel. And the average reel on that boat costs $2,500 each. And so you look at that one pile right there. Wow, that is a lot of money for a recreational activity that keeps your gas tank full. A good thing. 25. My reels didn't cost that much money because I bought them on Amazon. But you want to have the best. Something that works good, at least that's what they said. So I fish, I hunt, I restore cars. I restored a 48 Ford pickup, a 52 Chevy pickup, a 65 Mercury Caliente, a 1957 Volkswagen Beetle, and I'm working on a 69 Mustang. How much time does that take? 12, good things become bad things when they are out of balance in our lives. It's easy. Easy. If you're taking notes there, circle that word easy. It's easy to let that happen. 13, our work, that is this thing we do to earn money, our jobs, is an area that many get overcommitted to because we can get so much of our self-worth from it. And it's a significant source of money, security. Our jobs. Now, I was on a dairy farm, grew up on a farm, and that was my goal, to be the world's greatest dairy farmer. If I'd stayed on the dairy farmer instead of leaving and becoming a pastor, I'm convinced that I would have been the world's greatest dairy farmer, because I would have worked 20 hours a day. I mean, as much as I could have, I would have. I mean, I love the dairy, and there was always more to do and always goals to set, and lots of people do that. They love their jobs, and they become so engrossed in their jobs that they spend so much time in it, they have hardly any time left for reading the Bible or spending time with God in prayer or even attending church or helping out on Awana or whatever. Their job. People, especially men, they get sucked into their jobs, almost always fall away from the Lord. Almost always fall away from the Lord. You can't love God and the world at the same time. It's not possible. And so for you, you may not be at that point, but you might be at the point where you're not going to do a whole lot. You're not going to bear a lot of fruit. You're not going to glorify God with your life because you're too busy building your business or making money. Number 14, an area of life that consumes a lot of time is maintaining what we own. What we own owns us. We were driving over to the Brownlee Reservoir, our family. There was about, a bazillion grandkids and kids, and we were towing a pontoon boat that Dave Hartley gave me over with all our kids. We were going to camp for a week and catch fish. Now, we got over there, and the wheel fell off the boat trailer because the bearing got hot and got really hot and burned. It just fell off the boat trailer. Next thing we know, we're just dragging the pontoon boat on the ground and the tires off in the ditch. It took a lot of time to get that fixed, and it took a lot of money to get that fixed. A couple of years later, I'm towing my big dory that I built to the Columbia River to go fishing, and we're going through Portland, and somebody drives up next to us, and they wave like this, and they point to the tire, and I look out the window, and smoke is blowing out of the left tire on the trailer under my dory, and we pull off to the side, and just as we pull to a stop, the wheel just goes, eh. And so we called AAA, and they came and put my boat and trailer on a truck and towed it back home again, and we didn't go fishing. So I've become somewhat famous in our church with other fishermen over the fact that if Dee takes a boat fishing, the wheel's going to fall off. Why? Well, because I don't grease it. Why don't I grease it? Because I'm busy. I've got a lot of boat trailers. It's hard to keep them all greased, you know. What you own, you have to take care of. What you own, you have to grease. What you own, you have to wash. What you own, you have to paint. Otherwise, the wheel's going to fall off. That's just kind of the way it is. What you own owns you in the sense of time. Number 15, ownership of stuff is a major area that serious servants of God need to practice lots of self-examination in. How am I doing? How am I doing? 16, one of my major enemies in life is Amazon, which makes buying more stuff really easy. Now, I can sit in my recliner at night, Patty's in bed, and I think, I could get this and I can get this. Before I was going fishing, I mean, I didn't know what I needed. I'd never done this 10-day out in the ocean on a boat kind of stuff before, but as I watched videos of other guys doing it, I thought, well, I don't have one of those, and I don't have one of those. I bought a ton of stuff on Amazon, fishing stuff. I still have all of it and didn't use most of it. I've gotten involved lately of reading information on how to live to be 100. Not really, but, to have some energy. I'm 77, and I get tired, and I want to stay energized, and I want to preach for longer. And so and I read the other day that cayenne pepper is good for you. It keeps your little arteries all cleaned out. It makes your vision's good, and your small capillaries are all cleaned out, and you have lots of energy, and your heart works better, and your blood pressure goes down. And so I went on Amazon and looked for cayenne pepper, and I could see a little bottle about this big, and it was like $5 an ounce. Then I saw this 5-pound jug, and it was only 20 cents an ounce. That's a no-brainer. So I'm sitting on my counter a 5-pound jug of cayenne pepper. So my grandkids are all going to get some cayenne pepper for Christmas. Now, after I got it, and my wife opened it up and laughed hilariously at me, I thought, I probably shouldn't have done that. But, in the moment, it's kind of tough to resist that urge to save all that money by buying something for 20 cents an ounce. I mean, it's Amazon. They say it'll be here tomorrow morning. That's how quick you get it. I enjoy walking through Sportsman's Warehouse, Cabela's, Home Depot, Harbor Freight more than going to Disneyland. In fact, sometimes 3 or 4 guys, one guy will call up, hey, you guys kind of want to go to walk around through Harbor Freight? Sure, we can go out for dinner afterwards. Walk around through Harbor Freight. 17, learning to manage classic time wasters such as TV, internet, cell phone activity. Super important for those who want to do well at the judgment seat of Christ. So it's just, we have stuff that just sucks up our time like crazy, and we become addicted to it. 18, another word for entangled is to be addicted. Many are addicted to TV, the internet, and their cell phone. So we become entangled with stuff that uses up our time. 2 Timothy 2:4 again, no soldier in active service entangles himself in the affairs of everyday life, so that he may please the one who enlisted him as a soldier. So we want to bear much fruit, and so getting entangled is one of the things that we just have to watch out for because it happens so easy. 19, growing in our time management skills by using a daily to-do list, goals, is very important if we want to get everything done that we would like to. And so it's a simple tool of saying what's important. What bears fruit? What will show up at the judgment seat of Christ? And so it's kind of like, going through Amazon. But you look at your life. I do this, I do this, I do this, I own this, I own this, I go here, I go there. I have all this stuff in my life in a given week, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. What's most important of all that stuff? Everything I do, every place I go, everything I own, what's most important? We'll put it at the top, and then we'll go down until we get to the things that are least important. We establish priorities. We establish priorities with what we own and with what we do, how we spend our time. So to-do lists and goals are a simple way of budgeting your time, choosing what you're going to spend your time on. The more you do that ahead of time, the more successful you will be. The more impulsive you are, like sitting in a recliner at night, 10 o'clock at night, and looking at Amazon, the more impulsive you're going to be. You're not going to use good sense. So plan. Spend your time with goals and to-do lists before you actually do it, and you'll do it so much wiser. 20, taking the time to write goals is a key way to establish priorities in our lives. Spend your time before you live it. Plan it before you live it. It's like a budget with money, but you're budgeting your time. 21, ministry goals will require a fair amount of meditation, planning, thinking about, strategizing, so they stay high on the priority list. And so the simple question is, what do I do that matters? What do I do in my church? What ministry am I involved in? What service am I involved in? If a trunk or treat shows up and they're asking for people to do trunks, and I say no, why? What do I volunteer for cleaning, for mowing the lawns? What do I do for Kids Zone, for Awana? What do I do with going down on these projects we have of feeding the homeless? We choose all the time what we'll do, what we won't do. And it's based on a priority list. And so when we make a goal to say, okay, I'm going to spend this amount of time serving the Lord by serving in my church or wherever, whatever, then we're much more apt to do it than if we don't. 22, over-involvement in the affairs of everyday life is one of the easiest ways to put out our own fire. God put it in you and we put it out. God gave us a roaring fire to do things for Him that matter. We have that hunger, that desire. And then all of a sudden it's gone and we don't care. 23, a major emphasis with Jesus when He recruited His disciples was to give up everything in life but Him. To give up everything in life but Him. Matthew 19:21, Jesus said to him, if you wish to be complete, go and sell your possessions and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven, and come follow me. When the young man heard this statement, he went away grieving, for he was one who owned much property. And so that's kind of the ultimate case. But we're all there in one degree or another, where we have the stuff that just weights us down, steals our zeal and our passion to serve the Lord, uses all our time up, and then we get to the end of our life and we have hardly anything to show for it. The fact that we lived. You don't have to be a pastor to do things for Jesus. All you have to do is be a person who doesn't let the world use up your life and your energy and your time and your money. Make serving Him the highest priority of your life. Figure out how to make it happen. God will give you the time. He'll give you the energy. He'll give you the resources. But you got to choose and not let the world control you. Don't let the world control you. Let's pray. Lord, thank you. Thank you for saving us. Thank you, Lord, that we're saved by faith. And we're headed for heaven. And as we live our life now, we truly want, Lord, all of us have some zeal still in us, some passion, some fire still in us. We want to do something with our life that matters. But we just get involved in life to the extent that we have nothing left to give back to you. Nothing in the way of time or energy or money. We've spent it all on ourselves. Help us, Lord, to think clearly, to examine our lives honestly, transparently, and to recognize where we are and to choose to make you first place. To make you first place. We love you. Thank you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Ushers are passing out some cards and encourage you to fill those out. A name, address, that kind of stuff. If you had that little prayer card where you write the names of people that you're going to invite to church, you can drop that in the offering plate as well if you've got that done. If you haven't, take it home and think about it and write some names down there of people that you work with, you live next door to, that you're friends with, that you don't like, whoever. Write their names down. And the goal is that you're going to invite them to the concert. And so we're going to get prayed for during the 5 days of prayer. That's 10 hours a day for 5 days. That's going to make a huge difference in their life and in yours. So take the time to write names on that card, even if it's one or two, and then drop it in the offering plate. And again, you can next week get another one and fill it out too. The next week, get another one. Sometimes we get that 5 days of prayer, and I'll see, I prayed for their card. Oh, this is different names. I prayed for their card. That's a different name. 4 or 5 cards in there by the same person. They know a lot of lost people, and that's good.